All right. So once again, welcome everyone to this gathering. As I said, we're going to start with the reading of the energies through astrology. And before we get into this, I want to make a little reminder of what a solar eclipse is from an astronomical point of view. So lunar and solar eclipses happen when sun and moon align along the axis of the north and south node. North and south nodes are mathematical points where the orbit of the moon crosses the orbit of Earth. The meaning of the north and south node are connected to when on our own chart is our destiny and where we're coming from. North node is our destiny, and where we're coming from is the south node. At the collective level, it's the collective destiny of all of us. And the south node would be an expression of what we're leaving behind or what where we're coming from. So today we experience a solar eclipse because the sun and the moon will cross each other's path in the sky. And the moon is going to go. I was about to say walk. No, it's not going to walk. It's going to fly maybe, but not walk in front of the sun. And that will mask the light of the sun for us on Earth. So the general meaning of a solar eclipse is about new beginnings. The lunar eclipse that we experienced 2 weeks ago was about letting go, leaving things behind. And the solar eclipse is more about starting something, new beginning. And we'll see how there's a lot of energy around beginning something new, in particular in this solar eclipse, more than just the mere fact of it being a solar eclipse. Another thing that's important to know is that solar eclipses and eclipses in general affect us on the long term. So it's not that just today or just this week something is bound to begin. It's really over months. So of course, this is like the culmination point of that new beginning, and maybe it's even the starting point, but the effects of it will be felt over weeks and months. And probably, I don't know for you, but at least for me, I have been feeling these energies since at least the lunar eclipse. So it's not really precise because the event is so big that the energies like build up, stay for a while, and then they fade out until something else comes our way. Very briefly, this solar eclipse has been talked about so much by many people. For that, there's several reasons. I'll just go over them for briefly. Some of you know them already, some of you not, but just like to give the information to everyone. Number one, it's it's one of the eclipses where its path of totality can be seen on land. Many times it's somewhere in the middle of an ocean and we can't see it. So, and therefore it's affecting, let's say, waters. But here it's affecting this year and this eclipse, it's affecting Mexico, the United States, and a little bit of Canada. So that's why it's important, because it's crossing territories where we live as humans. It's also the longest totality since a decade. It's, for example, twice as long as the eclipse that happened in 2017, that also was crossing the United States, from southeast to northwest, and this one is crossing from southwest to northeast. What else? Obviously, the United States is an important country for all of us, humans living on planet Earth. So whatever happens there affects all of us. So that's why all eyes are on this. What else? We also have a comet that is visible almost to the naked eye with a telescope, much, much easier, that is crossing our skies at the very moment, the comet Ponsbrook. I think Today, it's around the Pleiades. It's around that area in the sky if you want to look for it. The only thing, it's like very low on the horizon, so it's not super visible with the naked eye. Or you'd have to have a really like open field so that you can see it. So all that to say, like, there's a lot going on for this eclipse. And not to mention the experiment that CERN is doing in Switzerland and so on and so on. So, and also, of course, this year is the peak activity of the solar cycle. So that's a lot of energy to get exposed to. And we'll see what that means. So this eclipse is happening at the 19th degree of Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, is the sign of the I am, and it's the sign that starts the cycle of incarnation of the I am, or of the divine into matter, coming back to unity in Pisces. So that's another very, very strong indicator of new beginnings. We're literally at the beginning of the zodiac. In essence, Aries is the divine spark as it comes down, and it is about to expand and go through its 12 aspects before it comes back to self. So there's a lot of energy of starting, of initiation, of, commencing something. The sun and moon at this grade of Aries are conjunct the North Node. As I said earlier, that's our collective destiny. So this is something that affects all of us as humanity, all together. And that's very powerful. If you want to see where this affects you in particular, in which area of your life it affects you, check on your birth chart where 19 of Aries falls, and you can find out in which house, and the house will tell you the area. But as I said yesterday, it will give you an indication of the area most affected, but really this eclipse affects us completely in all aspects of our life, and actually it impacts us in our sense of self, about who we are. Remember, Aries, I am. So this eclipse speaks, as I said, about new beginnings. It speaks about transformation and about empowerment. Aries is a sign that really carries that sense of empowerment and the recognition of our divine nature. But the interesting thing is not our divine nature as a concept for the mind, which most of us know or have read about or feel that it's, something that resonates. But a lot of times we forget that accepting or being aware of our divine nature must be felt, experienced from within, in our body, that holds our incarnation, that contains us as a divine being. It's very important to be aware of that we need to experience that in the flesh to feel it. So the next thing I want to talk about regarding this eclipse is exactly that. It's about allowing this divine spark to shine from within towards the outside. Aries is the seed that contains all possibilities. It's the divine spark, as I said, ready to burst into life. And because it's the first point of incarnation, it's the cosmic door from which the divine force descends into manifestation. And remember, 2 weeks ago when we did the meditation for the full moon, we already had that energy of the divine descending into manifestation through the concepts of Shakti. It's still valid. more than ever, still today, still for this event. So Shakti is the active uh, aspect of the feminine energy. We usually understand that the masculine is active and the feminine is more passive, but there is an active side to the feminine creator. Remember, women are the only ones who can create matter from nothing. We create babies, which were a pair of cells at the beginning. So that's very, very powerful. That ability to create realities is very, very powerful. So that's something we can tune into today. Aries is also the sign of autonomy, independence, sovereignty. And that's beautifully expressed by the mantra that associated to Aries, which is I am. That means that our compass is ourselves. It's not outside, it comes from within by tuning into that divine spark that we just spoke about. That's what will give us direction and will tell us what to do. Something that really emphasizes that energy of Aries is that most of the planets are, except Pluto, who's a little bit far away, is still it's in Aquarius, retrograding into Capricorn. Everyone is gathered around Aries. So either is in Aries or in the neighboring signs. So that's a lot of weight, like all the energies of the zodiac are in that area. That's very strong. It emphasizes that idea that the archetype of Aries is at the forefront at the moment, and this is what we need to tune into, or at least this is the energy that we're being given. Of course, everyone can do like what they feel like. If we don't have to tune into anything, but this is the energy that is available to us right now if you want to work with it. So in essence, this is pointing to connecting our higher self, let's say, to our incarnation. Remember, Aries is also the physical aspect of the Trinity of Fire. So it is talking about being on earth, incarnated, and being at the same time connected with the I am, with our higher self, our inner guidance, which is an expression of the divine while we're incarnated. So I hope it makes sense. Now, what else do we have with this moon? The second important information that we have is we are at a moment where we can make a quantum jump of consciousness towards a liberated version of ourselves. Why? Because we have Sun and Moon together with Chiron, the wounded healer. I'll come back to this in a moment. But they are together exactly to the minute in the sky. And then they are squaring Pluto. I'll come back to that second part as well in a moment. So, who is Chiron? Can you hear me? I can hear an echo. No, it's okay. Okay, Chiron is a centaur in Greek myth. He is the wounded healer. He's called the wounded healer because he was a healer, but he couldn't heal himself. He's the one who taught many heroes like Hercules, Achilles, etc. Aesculapius as well. So his archetype is the archetype of healing. I think someone might have their microphone open. If you can check that, please. Thank you. All right, so what is Chiron telling us there? Chiron points in a chart to the original wound and to the necessity to heal that. So here, Chiron is telling us to the wound of the I am, which is everything that I spoke about a minute ago, about recognizing ourselves as an incarnation of the divine and seeking guidance from within, from the inner spark, having a sense of self that is strong and empowered. So this is a great moment to assert ourselves in that position. And it's not any type of healing. Here, the connection with Pluto gives us a little bit more of information. Pluto is the last planet of our solar system. And after that, we go into the Oort cloud and into the unknown not really unknown, but from an astronomical point of view, but it's like beyond our solar system. And in comparison, in myth, Pluto is, for the Romans, is Hades for the Greeks. He's the guardian of the underworld, of the shadow, the world of shadows. And as the king of the underworld, remember, he also reigns over everything that's under earth. And what's under earth? The richness, gold, silver, minerals, crystals. So what it says to us is that if we accept to go into the underworld, to go into the shadows, we find that wealth, we find that richness that we can bring back to create a new self. And Pluto is really the archetype of death. So what it's telling us is we need to accept, let go of who we think we are, to die to ourselves, so that we can be born in a version that is transmuted. I think that mic is still open.
I think you have the ability to just mute everybody, Dunia.
I'm going to do that. Thank you. So, Pluto here is of great help. It can be scary, for sure, because it's asking us to come face to face to what's probably the most scary in the collective unconscious, which is death. But it's also telling us that when we can face that moment, when we can face those shadows, when we can face what brings us most fear, we are able to cross through a complete different version and to reap the fruits of our ability to see our shadows face to face. And what I want to say as well with regards to that is many times we create a sense of identity for ourselves by clinging to what makes us think, or what we think gives us our identity. And that a lot of times is related to trauma. So, or, our history in general. But a lot of time we tend to cling to trauma because this is the easiest that can give us a sense of identity, of definition. The thing is, here we are asked to drop all of that, everything that we think we are, because that's in the mind, and to connect to who we are truly through what we feel, through the divine spark that we have within. Do you understand? I hope you do.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And to help us with that, which also signals the necessity, well, not this necessity, but we have energy available to do it in like not one go, but instead of spending 10 years in psychotherapy or whatever, we have the energy to do it like with power and in a very sudden way. Why? Because we have Uranus and Jupiter that are connecting in Taurus, Earth sign, very related to incarnation and to the body. That is connecting with Saturn, structures, incarnation, time as well, the master of karma. And Uranus is the archetype of freedom, revolution, and of really higher mind, of thinking outside of the box. And it's being, let's say, this concept is being exacerbated by Jupiter, who is sitting next to it, that expands completely that idea. So we have that energy available for us to just drop it. I'm not that person that I think I am. And actually, I don't need to be anything or anyone for anything or anyone because I am. Really, it's the difference between I am a good person, I am a bad person, I am a good friend, I am poor, I am rich, I am this. I am. That's all. I don't need any attributes because all attributes exist within, and I can call on them whenever I need them because I am divine, incarnated. And that energy of healing is super available right now, but it's still going to be available for a few weeks. Why? Because Mercury, as you know, probably is retrograde at the moment. Mercury is mind, is analysis. And someone is talking about Pamela Anderson. That's interesting. Yes, Mercury is retrograde, and it crossed when it was going direct. It passed by Chiron. I think it was the 20th of March. Sorry, it went past it. Now it's retrograding, so it's gonna go past Chiron once again. And when it's gonna go direct, it's gonna pass through it another time, 3 times. I think until the end of the month, more or less. Yeah, maybe into May for the 3rd time. So that means that we have the opportunity to go over all the things that are wounds or trauma or things that affect us in the totality of our being, that we think prevent us from being complete, if that makes sense. So with the help of Mercury, yes, we can continue the healing over the next few weeks. So that's the second important point, a really quantum jump of consciousness towards a liberated version of ourselves. And by quantum jump, it means accepting that whereas before we would spend a lot of time doing processes of healing, etc., we have the ability to just do it like an atom jumps from one layer to another, an electron jumps from one layer to another from an atom. Sounds easy. And maybe it is actually. And we just didn't know it. And last piece of information is a beautiful aspect with Sirius and Vega. Sirius and Vega are both squaring the sun and moon. And I see this as the presence of the cosmic father, mother. Sirius is in the constellation of the dog. It is I think it's the brightest star of the constellation of the dog, and that sits just behind Orion. So it's the dog that's chasing the hunter, Orion the hunter. And Sirius is considered the son of the sun. So while the sun that we know is being obliterated by the moon, we can still connect to the father of the father. We can still connect to the brightness. Sirius is, by the way, the brightest star in the sky. So we can still connect to that. I find it's a beautiful aspect that we have here, because we still have the divine light available to us and the light of the Father. And Vega is the brightest star of the constellation of Lyra, Vega was the North Star of during the fall of Atlantis, and the North Star in the era of Leo in ancient Egypt, in Chem. Vega is connected to the divine feminine and to the word and to vibration and to that attribute, the creative feminine attribute. In Chinese astrology, it is called the Queen Mother, and in the constellation of the Weaver. So those of you who are used to Matthias' explanation about the cosmogony and how the world gets created, the Weaver obviously is the one that weaves realities, weaves worlds. So we're completely we have the message of creating new realities super reinforced right here, but also reinforced because it's pointing us at another dimension. We're no longer, when the moon blocks the sun, which is what we see every day, like the two stars that we see or planets that we see most of our days. Now, for this particular event, we're being directed to the next octave of those two archetypes, of the feminine and the masculine. So, yeah, I think it's we have a lot of energy available to us for great transformation, for creating everything that we set ourselves to create, and really to get to a new way of being. For those of you who've been coming to the moon meditations, we've been preparing for this moment for more than a year right now. And I think this is it. This is now where we get the burst of energy to do that. It doesn't mean that tomorrow or in a week or in a month it's going to stop, not at all. But this is like the time to put the plug in the mains and to start that process. So yeah, that's what I had to share with you today. I hope it makes sense. Perhaps before we get to sharing, we can ask the Oracle of Agartha what message they have for us. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, we've got. All right, we got the Pleiadians today. Can you see? Okay, réceptivité. I guess that translates into receptivity. Let's see. Let's see what that means. So, what the Pleiadians have for us today. Okay. This is what they're saying. Everything that you ask is being heard. We, the people of Pleiades, and guides of many beings on earth, would like to tell you today that all your prayers or everything you ask are always heard and taken into account. We hear your thoughts, and from our plane of perception, we perceive things beyond the opacity of your world. We would like to reassure you today and to advise you about your way to perceive our answers. These are weaved into your day-to-day and can only be received when you are available from a calm and serene internal state. You need to learn how to cultivate this inner state to make your communication with us more fluid and to become available to welcome our suggestions in the present. The ascensional key is create a space that would be calm and serene within so that you can listen to our silent suggestions.
Wow, that's so perfect, Dunya.
Isn't it? It's amazing. I mean, this oracle is just a marvel. It's always so spot on. All right. Make yourself comfortable. And I want to know if you hear this clearly. Is it loud enough? Okay. All right. As we enter that inner space, where we can listen through and tune into our divinity, listen through dimensions, and tune into our most central being. Take a few deep breaths, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, just to calm down our nervous system and ease ourselves into stillness. I wish you a beautiful eclipse, and I'll see you on the other side. slowly. And if you feel like it, you can start moving your hands, body, head, only if you want to come out from the meditation. Otherwise, you can stay in your space and continue with your journey. I'll leave that space open for another 20 minutes and we can stay in meditation together if you want. thank you all for being here today. Thank you for sustaining the energy. I wish you a beautiful eclipse and a happy new you. We meet soon.